In a stunning display of skill, Magnus Carlsen managed to checkmate Bill Gates in just 12 seconds. Talk about a quick victory. The encounter took place during their appearance as guests on the talk show Skavalan. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, billionaire, philanthropist, and at the time the richest person in the world with a net worth of $76 billion, met his match in the form of newly made world champion Magnus Carlsen. The full 18-minute video of the game can be found on YouTube, but let's not forget that there's more to it than just chess. This show also featured discussions about philanthropy, but for now, let's skip over that part. The episode was recorded on January 25th, 2014, and one segment of the show was dedicated to a game of chess. However, the game didn't last very long, as Carlsen swiftly turned from a blitz game into a lightning-fast bullet game. After winning the World Championship title by defeating Vichy and Nant in the finals, Magnus Carlsen was on top of the world. His reputation as a virtually unbeatable chess player was solidified, but facing Bill Gates, one of the most famous and wealthiest opponents he had encountered thus far, was sure to make headlines in numerous articles and on news channels. Bill Gates, the mastermind behind Microsoft and a billionaire making billions each year, didn't quite possess the chess skills of a world champion. With a rating of around 1600, it's no wonder that the game had attracted so much attention. After all, if Magnus Carlsen were to lose to a 1600 rated billionaire on a talk show, his reputation would have been severely tarnished, especially considering he may have underestimated the richest man alive by giving him more time than himself. In this blitz game, which took place in a London studio, Carlsen requested only 30 seconds on his clock, while Gates had a generous 2 minutes. The game kicked off with Gates opening with e4 as his first move, but he forgot to start the clock. Well, it's not the most professional move, I suppose, but that's probably why his rating was what it was. Carlsen, the absolute legend that he is, calmly positioned his pieces, started his own clock with 30 seconds ticking away, and responded with a knight to c6. From there, it was game over in no time. It just goes to show that even the richest and most influential individuals can't always conquer the chessboard against a true chess prodigy like Magnus Carlsen. Well, see for yourself, guys, as we take a look at the 9 moves Magnus Carlsen made to beat Bill Gates. With clear confidence, Bill Gates began the game with the white pieces, starting with move e4. This move was considered one of the worst choices against Carlsen, as he had encountered it countless times before. Magnus tends to play e5 openings against an e4 move from white and pushes to the closed variations of the Ruy Lopez. But here Magnus responds by moving his knight to c6, playing the Nimzovich defense, and Bill followed with his knight to f3, a standard developing move. Magnus quickly played d5, putting pressure on Gates to either take his pawn or be taken. However, Gates chose a different approach and defended the pawn with his bishop to d3, which was a slightly embarrassing move. While the move didn't immediately blunder a piece, it allowed Magnus to launch a strong attack. But there was still some hope left. The better move could have been knight c3 to avoid obstructing the pawn. Magnus continued with knight f6, increasing the pressure on Gates' pawn. Gates captured the pawn on d5, and now Magnus's queen entered the equation, and his pieces became active. While Gates remained passive, Carlsen recaptures his pawn position with the queen on d5. Gates attempts to attack Magnus's queen. He played knight c3, but Magnus swiftly moved her out of harm's way, and Carlsen moved his queen to h5 to get out the way. This move seemed to confuse Bill Gates, who struggled to find his next move. In this position, Bill Gates made the worst possible move and decided to do castle, unaware that Magnus's pieces were already surrounding his king. As Gates castled, Carlsen played bishop g4, creating an annoying pin. Breaking the pin immediately with bishop e2 would have been the best move for Gates, but instead he played h3. Carlsen could have been captured on g4, damaging the white pawn structure and potentially gaining an advantage, followed by queenside castle. Magnus's next move, bringing his knight into play in e5, elicited laughter from the audience and Bill Gates. He was looking for tricks, which he later pointed out. We will talk more about this later in the video. Now, Bill Gates took Magnus's seemingly free bishop with his pawn. As expected, this was a losing move for Magnus, and Gates was actually in a winning position at that point. But it's good to remember that in addition to the gameplay itself, time was a significant factor in this game. Time pressure can affect anyone, and it's not easy to cope with that sort of pressure in the game. Carlsen captured the pawn with his knight, and Gates captured the knight on f6 with his pawn. However, Gates was completely unaware that the position had been lost. with Gates taking Magnus's knight like a beginner and giving the chance to Magnus Carlsen to deliver the final blow to Queen H2. We got the checkmate. The game ended quickly and it was clear that Magnus had outplayed the world's richest man in just 9 moves under 12 seconds. A better move for Gates would have been to play Rook E1, so that after Carlsen captures the knight, Gates can recuperate it with the queen. This would have allowed the white king to escape from the checks, potentially cause problems for black with checks on b5. Bill Gates, being the good sport he is, gracefully accepted defeat. Let's face it, there was never really a chance for Magnus Carlsen to lose, but hey, he can now proudly boast about beating the wealthiest person on the entire planet. Talk about leveling up his status as an absolute legend in the chess world. At the end of the game, Gates still had 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock, while Carlsen had a comfortable 18 remaining. In fact, Carlsen only used a mere 12 seconds and 9 moves to secure victory. He did lose a couple of seconds when he accidentally tipped over a pawn on move 2, and it seems he also needed a few seconds to stop the clock. The difference in skill was so vast that it didn't come as a surprise to chess enthusiasts. However, the rest of the world, the headline Magnus Carlsen checkmates Bill Gates in 12 seconds must have sounded astonishing. After the game, a report by Norwegian TV channel NRK highlighted the show and the match. They cheekily mentioned that Carlsen had to break one of his own principles, which was not to resort to cheap tricks to secure a win. Of course, they were referring to his move 7, knight to e5, which was exactly correct but led to a lightning fast checkmate. So let's talk about right and wrong here, as Bill made the first blunder, not even starting the clock. The TV show, Carlsen couldn't help but mention that he'd recently taught chess to none other than Facebook CEO Zuckerberg. According to Carlsen, after just 1 hour of lessons, Zuckerberg was already showing improvement, but when asked if they were Facebook friends, Carlsen cheekily replied, "No, I don't accept everyone on Facebook. It looks even like the world champion has his standards." All in all, despite the short duration, the game between Carlsen and Gates provided an exhilarating spectacle. It's fantastic to see Magnus Carlsen rubbing shoulders with different celebrities and spreading their love for the game of chess. If you're interested in watching the game, be sure to check out the video link in the description. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for now. Take care and bid adieu.